The premiere of the car took place back in 1997. In different markets, this sedan was known under the names Spectra and Cephia II, and after being discontinued in Korea in 2004, its assembly was established in Izhevsk. Sedans with a 1.6-liter engine, 101 horsepower, were produced here, paired with a 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic transmission. It is these machines in our secondary market that are the vast majority. The predecessor of the Kia Spectra was the Kia Cephia, produced since 1995. The car was produced in the form of a sedan and a 5-door hatchback. In the engine range, there were only gasoline engines with a volume of 1.5 liters, 80 horsepower, 1.6 liters, 106 horsepower, and 1.8 liters, 124 horsepower. In 2004, production of Spectra/Shuma 2 in South Korea was discontinued, and they were replaced by Kia Cerato. Moreover, in some world markets, this car with the sedan is also known as the Spectra. Kia Spectra is optimal in terms of dimensions and power-to-weight ratio, as well as in terms of the combination of consumer qualities and driving characteristics. Yes, and the price does not bite at all. In general, an affordable and roomy car for the average Russian family. Inside, Spectra is quite spacious and provides a good level of comfort. The front is free, but drivers over 185 centimeters tall may not have enough longitudinal movement of the seat, and its pillow will seem a bit short. The wide rear seat is designed for 3, but, as in most cars in this class, 2 will be really comfortable there. Trunk volume, 440 liters, is quite modest, but if you need to carry large luggage, the rear seat folds. The interior makes a good impression. The quality of finishing materials is far from the highest, but the execution is neat. A budget car a priori cannot boast of rich equipment. So, for example, the basic version of the Russian Kia Spectra is equipped only with an immobilizer and audio preparation. In the standard version, a hydraulic booster, power windows, and central locking were added. The Optimum version additionally had 2 airbags, air conditioning, and fog lights. In addition, for this option, an automatic machine could be ordered for a surcharge. There are cars of all 3 levels of equipment on the secondary market, and if you want to find the right option that meets your needs, it will not be difficult. Kia Spectra is a fairly durable and unpretentious car, and its long conveyor life implies a minimum of childhood illnesses. True, there are many hackneyed copies on the market that are sold at dumping prices. Advice: do not be seduced by cheapness, at least without a complete diagnosis of the car before buying. First of all, inspect the body. Its paintwork is not very wear resistant. Chips quickly appear on the hood and front bumper. Paint even swells on some elements. As for driving performance, Kia is a fairly dynamic car. A 1.6-liter engine is enough for a car in almost all modes. True, at speeds above average, the noise of the motor becomes annoying. The engine runs on 92-octane gasoline and has proven to be reliable and durable. The main problems are related to the fact that various sensors and electronic components sometimes fail. Maintenance according to the regulations is carried out every 10,000 kilometers. The timing belt should be updated strictly after 60,000 kilometers, otherwise costly repairs cannot be avoided. Candles withstand an average of 25,000 kilometers. On the manual gearbox, oil leaks through the seals of the gear selector rod by 50,000 kilometers. Suspension is hassle-free, and parts, as well as work, are by no means expensive. Only the stabilizer struts are considered weak here. Body cannot boast of high-quality painting. Already after 2 or 3 years of operation, varnish chips appear on the hood, bumper, and front fenders. In addition, chrome parts quickly fade, wiper wires peel off. Electrical equipment. From time to time, various sensors, relays, and electronic components fail. The Spectra is susceptible to road chemicals, which cause the contacts and wiring connectors located in dirt-accessible areas to turn sour over time. Engine. It is designed for the 90-second gasoline and has proven itself well in terms of reliability and durability. True, at the same time, it is distinguished by its exactingness to the quality of gasoline. Several refuelings with surrogate fuel can result in stuck valves. Suspension. In the front suspension, the anti-roll bar and brake pads are the first to be revised. The rear suspension is fully independent, on transverse levers, which, on the one hand, provides good handling, and on the other, high demands on the setting of camber and toe angles. Hyundai Accent I Generation Ownership Experience. The most massive Hyundai model, named Accent, began to be produced in 1994, and 5 years later, the second generation was offered to customers. Due to its low price and a good combination of consumer qualities, this car has settled in the markets of many countries, including the Russian one. The release of the model was launched in 1994. It was offered with sedan, 3, and 5-door hatchback bodies and was equipped with 4-cylinder petrol engines, 1.3 liters, 60 to 75 horsepower, and 1.5 liters, 90 horsepower, which were aggregated with a 5-speed manual or 4-stage automatic. In 1995, a new version of the 1.3-liter engine with 84 horsepower appeared, and a passenger airbag was included as standard for the European market. At the same time, a sports version of the GT was introduced, equipped with a 1.5-liter 99 horsepower engine. In 1997, a facelift was carried out, headlights, bumpers, and taillights changed. In 1999, the second generation of the model debuted. The exterior and interior have been radically redesigned, while the main elements of the power frame of the body, suspension, engine and transmission have not changed. Nevertheless, the car has grown significantly in all dimensions. Now official dealers sell only Russian-assembled sedans equipped with a 1.5-liter 102 horsepower engine, manufactured in Taganrog. In 2003, a small upgrade was carried out, as a result of which the front bumper and grille were changed. Hyundai Accent was produced in several body styles, a 4-door sedan, which has received the greatest distribution, as well as 3- and 5-door hatchbacks, which are rare in our country. Despite the fact that the copies of the first years of production celebrated their decade of corrosion, this model is by no means a disease. However, if the Accent was intended for the European market, including Russia, then its body iron was processed by anodizing and covered with anti-corrosion protection. In the same case, if the car went to the Korean domestic market, it was subjected to a cheaper treatment called phosphating, while an anti-corrosive was not used at all. Therefore, when buying, you need to sort out the VIN with the destination market of this car, because the cars, the first owner of which lived in the land of morning calm, rust faster than their European counterparts, and it is believed that Accent was exported more carefully and other, better ones were used in the accessories. And since we are talking about the differences for specific markets, it is worth talking about the fate of Accent in our country. So, the vast majority of them were sold in a new form by Russian dealers. A significant number of used cars came to us from Korea, where in the late 90s there was a serious economic crisis, and the local currency against the dollar became very low, which had a positive effect on their value. A small number of cars were brought from Europe. They are distinguished by the presence of a lambda probe and an exhaust gas catalyst, before the introduction of new duties. A few words about corrosion. During long-term operation in our climate, the car may rust through the oil pan, which will manifest itself as a leak of engine oil. Also, the thrust washer of the front anti-roll bar strut rots through, as a result of which it falls into the lever, but this does not lead to anything fatal, except for the termination of stabilization. Salon. The salon corresponds to the price category of the car. Everything is simple in it, without frills. The fit of the panels is mediocre, and after a while they start to squeak and rattle. A significant number of cars have a rather meager level of equipment, in which the list of mincemeat is exhausted by a pyro amplifier and a driver's airbag, and then, as a rule, on Europeans. Often, even the outside rear view mirror is installed only on the left side. At the same time, the top-end GLS has air conditioning, ABS, power accessories, and an automatic transmission as an option. Regardless of the configuration, there is an adjustment of the tilt of the steering wheel, as well as a height adjustment of the driver's seat. Trunk capacity is low, and the fact that the back of the rear seat in most instances is folded only in its entirety also does not contribute to convenience when transporting bulky goods. Salon troubles include failures of the central lock and electric windows, breakdowns of door locks and ignition and their keys. For cars equipped with air conditioning, it is worth making sure that this system works, because the radiator, evaporator, and clutch, as a rule, do not live longer than 5 years. Engine. Unlike other models of the company, which often used power units developed by Mitsubishi, Accent was equipped exclusively with engines of its own, Korean production. The range includes only gasoline 4-cylinder units of 1.3 liters, 60 to 85 horsepower, depending on the power system, where a carburetor was used on early copies, and 1.5 liters, 90 to 99 horsepower, on which both a 12-valve cylinder head and a 16-valve. In carburetor versions, with age, the power system begins to cause various troubles, because numerous mechanical parts wear out in the carburetor, and it becomes impossible to achieve the correct operation of this unit. As for the resource, the motors reach up to 200,000 during normal operation, and then the turn of the capital often comes, but this operation is quite affordable. In order not to know problems with engines, one must not forget to update the timing belt and its tensioner every 60,000 kilometers, as well as monitor the condition of the cooling system pipes, which often crack and burst, which leads to non-heating. Transmission. A 5-speed manual gearbox and a 4-speed automatic were installed on the model. Mechanics does not differ in reliability and often requires a bulkhead after 100,000 kilometers. So if a howl is heard from a vending copy from the box, even if it is not strong, then you need to understand that this is nothing more than a death song of shaft bearings. Automatic is considered more tenacious, although it is possible that due to its lesser prevalence, a sufficient amount of negative information has not been accumulated on it. Even during a test drive, it is advisable to deal with the serviceability of the clutch, because its incorrect operation is often associated not with disc wear, but with defects in the clutch cylinder, which is especially common in cars manufactured in 1997 to 1998. Suspension. The model was equipped with a fully independent suspension. In front, these are McPherson struts, levers mounted on a subframe and an anti-roll bar. Behind, 4 transverse levers and 2 longitudinal rods, shock absorber struts, as well as a stabilizer. The short-stroke suspension is very rigid and quite energy-intensive. However, despite its fairly modern design, the car does not have good handling, and the uninformative steering wheel also contributes to this. One of the weakest parts of the chassis is the front hub bearings, which rarely take care of more than 40,000 kilometers. Also, in the area of this run, it is often necessary to change the shock absorbers and struts of the front stabilizer and roll bar. A pleasant moment during the repair is that if the ball joint or silent block fails, and there are 12 of them in the rear suspension, you do not need to change the entire lever assembly, since most of the chassis elements are disassembled, as they say, down to the screw. Accent has a high ground clearance, which, according to passport data, is 170 millimeters. However, for domestic operation, it is highly desirable to have a protection for the engine compartment, of which several options are offered. Alas, even when installing the most correct protection, the clearance decreases by about 20 millimeters. The result of long-term operation in Russia is problems in the brake system, where the pressure regulator fails and the pistons of the brake cylinders begin to wedge, which is manifested by an uneven distribution of brake forces. If the car is equipped with ABS, it is worth checking its performance, since multiple cases of failures have been noticed. In the steering of cars with hydraulic booster, attention should be paid to oil smudges in the area of the rack oil seals. The main thing to make sure is that the oil does not pour in a stream. Minor smudges are observed in almost every car. It is also worth checking the rack for knocks and making sure that the power steering pump does not howl, with the exception of the extreme positions of the steering wheel, for which this is normal. In general, Accent is a simple and affordable car to repair without individual features, justifying its low price with an average level of reliability and comfort.